This is the No More Wasted Days podcast, and we're your hosts, Sarah Kaufman Bradstreet
and Heather PG. Grab your favorite NA drink and listen as we share vulnerable stories so you never feel alone on your alcohol-free journey.
And gain insights from us as we break down our most used tips and strategies that have kept us alcohol-free.
It's time to break free from wasting any more of your days to the drinking, blackout, hangover cycle.
Welcome to another episode of the No More Wasted Days podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sarah.
I'm Heather.
And Heather today is going to be talking all about maximizing productivity, and she's calling it the sober advantage.
Dun, dun, dun.
I love that.
So I want to take a moment to A, say, hey, y'all. B, make sure if you have not, download the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I say this because it's something I forget. When you're traveling on your holiday travels, if you're in an airplane, you will have us downloaded to listen to if you don't have Wi-Fi. While you're at it, give us a rating and a review.
Yes. I go read the reviews. Like, I just reread them.
Me too.
It's cool.
One of our recent ones almost made me cry.
I know. I've been like that. And if you guys can hear my cat crying in the background, he's not being abused. He just can't be out while I record because he tries to eat cords.
Here we go again. I wonder what musical I'll sing if you have to go get him this time. So we're going to talk about the sober advantage in terms of productivity. And I want to say that I was a person, pride myself on productivity. I am 44 years old. That is probably part of how I was raised. I'm a Gen Xer. I am a type A person, and I have always thought that I'm like, oh, I'm so productive. And I don't even really think about it. I think I just am. And when I was a drinker, I used to Google and Pinterest on how to be more productive, how to be more efficient. And I used to tout myself and say that I don't like things that are not efficient. Well, fun facts, I was not very efficient as a drinker.
Right? I was just thinking that. I was like, oh, wait, how to be more efficient. Oh, you could stop drinking. Could you imagine if you would have seen that as a suggestion?
I would have laughed and said, no.
No. Like, drinking makes me more efficient, right?
Yes.
Like, I knew my hangovers made me inefficient, but it's like I knew, but I didn't pair it. Like, I was just like, it's just, I take time out of my life to recover.
Right. The stories we tell ourselves are so powerful. So today's episode, we're going to give you actionable tips on how avoiding alcohol can improve your mental clarity, energy levels, your focus, with strategies to use in your daily life. So why does avoiding alcohol improve productivity? The mental fog. Alcohol just makes our brain not work. I mean, don't drive while impaired, right? We are impaired. We are not functioning at our optimal level. It affects our memory, our decision-making, concentration, the whole thing. When you go into work on a Monday or a Tuesday, and it feels like you're carrying a cloud on your shoulders, and the things in front of you are like blurry and gray, that's what I'm talking about. And beyond.
Yeah. I feel that, like, when you said it, I was like, oh, you brought me back. And right now it's like we have a little stomach bug going through our family, and it's nothing terrible, but it's creating like the brain fog. It's creating the tired. And it is like when you said simple tasks feel overwhelming. I told my husband at one point, I said, I just feel like I'm hungover, like the mild hangover, not the I'm going to die hangover. I just kind of feel like I got the little hangover and I wish it would go away.
Absolutely. And being alcohol-free, obviously, clears the fog, and it makes the simple tasks feel less overwhelming. And with that brings more clarity and more detailed, sharper thinking during the day. I'll give an example. If you don't have to figure out how to make your coffee maker run because you're in a fog, that's one less thing. So over the day, you're just sharper because you haven't used a lot of mental energy on a simple task.
Yeah. And isn't it cool too? Like when you say that and you don't realize that you're being slowed down by those little things in your drinking life. And then all of a sudden you quit drinking. And I remember one of the things I kept thinking was, it's like a fog has lifted. And when you said that, like, "Oh, you don't have to think about how to make coffee anymore," that's a huge part of it. Those little things that were so hard when you were hungover, even if you thought you weren't hungover, I've been over that too. Like,
Same.
it's still slowing you down, and all of a sudden, by the end of the day, you're like, "God, I still have so much energy. I still have, like, patience with my kids. I still have energy to do things if I need to," because I used to have no energy to do things in the evening.
Absolutely. And then, once we stay alcohol free for a while, we have more energy. We're less tired, like you were just saying,
Mhm.
because alcohol, bar none, disrupts sleep patterns. We feel drained, lethargic the next day. And then if you've been alcohol free for a while or you've had a stretch of days and you can do the comparison, the sleep is so much deeper, it's more restful, then you have more energy throughout the day.
A nice thing.
It's something here about energy and alcohol to me that is so interesting. And I wish somebody would have told me this a long time ago. When we are thinking about energy and alcohol, some people say, myself included, well, I'm able to get more done. I'm able to wrap Christmas gifts. I'm able to wrap up tasks or start tasks or put up the Christmas tree. You get the point. Releases a ton of dopamine. And that is why.
And by just doing the tasks, you're gonna
Mhm.
get dopamine in a healthier way. But then when you just are drinking alcohol, you're getting dopamine in this false way or this manufactured way. Like, it's still dopamine, it's still real, but it's the fact that then you crash and then your dopamine receptors just become so fried. Whereas if we can just start being like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do the things to get the dopamine," then you're getting it in this natural way, and you're
Yeah.
getting this sustainable dopamine.
Yeah, and I remember being in my late 20s, looking at a friend and say, God, I was feeling tired. And this was day drinking on the lake. It was hotter than hell. I was feeling tired and I just had a drink. And now I feel so much, I don't feel tired.
Yeah.
And then what did that do? It told my brain that we drink to get energy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I hear that because there were so many times where I would be like, "Oh, I feel awful." And when I made the connection that when I drank, I didn't feel awful, well, that was like a little game changer for me in a bad way,
Yeah.
especially as far as hangovers were concerned. Because I
Hmm.
remember being a very young drinker, like, my early 20s, and somebody saying, "Oh, you just have a little hair of the dog." And I was like, ugh. I would never do that. This is the last thing I want after a night of drinking. I don't want alcohol at all the next day. Well, fast forward to my 30s,
Hmm.
and I'm like, what's going on with these mimosas? I'm gonna try that." Like, it took me a while to get there, but that's always why too. It's like never say never. And it's like I didn't until I did type thing, right?
Absolutely. And when you get past or without the alcohol crash, you get to have consistent energy and build like an energy bank, so to speak.
Mhm.
And it does reduce mid afternoon slumps and you stay productive longer. Now, I want to say a couple things about that mid afternoon. I used to be the person as a drinker at like 2 p.m., you could have been like, giving me a pillow and a cozy blanket, and I would have been asleep at my desk. And I blamed that on American culture of too much productivity, and other countries take a nap at 2 p.m., so I need one too. Although I wish, I don't make the rules, as y'all know, I say that every episode, but like, I wish that our culture promoted some mid afternoon rest, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
And at 2 p.m. every day since, I have not thought about taking a nap or been trying to fall asleep at my desk. Unless it's like a nap you know what I mean? A nappy type of situation. But just Monday through Friday, I'm not like, for the love of Pete, I'm about to fall over at my damn desk.
Right. And if it is happening now when you're not a drinker, you can actually start being like, "Oh, why is this happening to
Oh,
me?
yeah.
What could I change and investigate to make this better?"
Hmm.
That's something that I love because I recently gave up caffeine for like 20 days, just went caffeine free. I know Heather just made the most crazy face. It was hard, Heather. It was terrible. Do you know when my first well, I'm drinking caffeine now, but at a very
Mm.
like minimal, like I had to cut out the pre-workout totally,
Okay.
and that can never come back into my life, I've realized.
Mm.
Like, that was a bad, bad deal for me. But
Hmm.
I don't get those afternoon crashes anymore because I
Mm.
was having them, and I would tell my husband, it's my narcolepsy kicking in," like, as a joke, because I would
Hmm.
be typing I'd be editing the podcast and fall asleep. And it's like, "What?" And I come back and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I wonder where I was in the episode. I gotta go back." If you've listened to any past episodes and you can tell I missed something. No, but it really it just was like and it was very consistent that it would happen at a certain time. That's gotten so much better now. And now I have the energy when it starts to happen to be like, "Okay, get up and go take a walk instead. Go change where you're sitting." Like
Mhm.
I whereas before it was just like, "There's nothing I can do. I have to sleep." So if you're thinking, "Well, not drinking and I still get that afternoon slump," and now you can investigate it. Now you
Yeah.
can really get in there and say, "Okay, well, if productivity is a goal of mine and I'm having that issue," really get in there and say, "How can I switch things up?" And it might take a caffeine detox, but I hope not for you because it wasn't fun.
So when we're not drinking, we have enhanced focus and efficiency. So alcohol reduces your ability to focus for extended periods of time. I want to say this. If you have ADHD, diagnosed or undiagnosed, go back and listen to the alcohol and ADHD podcast. Yours truly has been diagnosed several times. So I understand what it's like to not be able to focus for an extended period of time at baseline with no coffee and sober as a judge, right? I get it. This helps. Booze, calm helps you focus.
Oh my gosh, it helps so much.
And you can like build up more steadiness in whatever tasks you're doing. I used to get a case of that FX on so many projects and so many things. I would just say F it. And I don't do that as much. Do I do it? Never. No. I still get a case of the efforts when things don't get done. And it is far less than it used to be because I have the ability to focus and the patience to like mire with it.
I think the patience is key too, that you talked about, that you gain that patience back when you quit drinking.
Yes. I have people tell me, like, Heather, you have an extreme amount of patience. And I'm just like, huh? My brain doesn't feel patient, but I'm really glad that it appears that way. It's probably a trauma response. Anyway, you get the point. You're more focused. You are able to be more efficient and avoid procrastination, which
Yeah.
fun fact about me, like the last will and testament in high school, my mantra was put off today what you can do tomorrow. I was like a born procrastinator.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
So, and now I just don't procrastinate as much.
Yeah. Mine has gotten a lot better. I still do it in some areas. I notice it more in my husband because sometimes I'm like, "Oh my gosh, just get this thing done." So we're not having to think about it at the last minute. It's one thing that I really work hard with, like on the podcast. I rarely procrastinate getting it done at the last minute. Like I always just want that thing. I want it scheduled on Saturday. So I just know it's ready for everybody. Oh, helps my life so much. And it's not normal for me. And I love it that it's I love it now that not procrastinating is starting to become more normal for me.
Yes. Yes. So, we're going to talk about how being alcohol free improves like daily life, like the real
Mhm.
stuff, right? Meaning the things that we do every day that are must haves. So, we're going to make better decisions. And as we said earlier, you have a clearer mind. From a scientific perspective, alcohol greatly affects the frontal cortex of your brain, which is the decision maker piece. Similar to how toddlers have an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex. Therefore, they're impulsive and sometimes don't make the best decisions. Part of that is because of learning, and a lot of that is developed in the prefrontal cortex. So, we're making better choices for many, many, many reasons. And this is going to help decrease poor decisions that make your day to day life, both personal and professional, more difficult. You're going to be able to prioritize some tasks. You're going to be able to manage your finances better because you're going to open the mail pile, right? And then you're going to check your bank account because you have a clear mind. You're going to remember that your car taxes are due in January and you got to go do it or get online and pay it
Yep.
because you've gone through the mail pile and you know that it's there. So, and this clearly leads to decreased stress at home because you've paid the car taxes in this scenario. So then you remember that you have to take your car to get it inspected. Do these sound fun? No.
I know.
And you know what's not fun? Late fees and the stress of complete and teetotal freeze and avoid it.
Mhm. Feeling like a loser adult. That's how I always feel when I miss those things. Oh, I'm such a loser type thing.
Right.
And I don't have to have that feeling as often anymore. I'm not gonna say like I'm perfect. That's still a
No.
weak point for me, that damn mail pile, but I'm better at it. And I feel like I used to like avoid it when I was a drinker. Like, oh, I don't even wanna know.
Well, it's overwhelming.
Mhm.
And, like, I am not perfect either. I goodness, no. But I
Yeah.
do think the mail pile is a fantastic example. So, again, moving toward being alcohol-free or staying alcohol-free, you get consistent in your work, in your personal life. Again, you're not as tired. You are able to develop the regular habits that support productivity or tasks or getting it done, keeping it moving in all
Mhm.
areas of your life.
Yeah.
Sarah and I talk about routines all the time. I think I say that every episode also. And these daily routines and like the micro habits and routines, like waking up at the same time each day, moving your body intentionally, meal prepping, organizing your day to keep energy and focus high, right? You get to play with like, okay, what do I need to shift to the afternoon? Or what do I need to move into the morning? Kind of eat the frog. You get to decide. 'Cause you know how to turn on your coffee maker, you know?
All those it all goes back to
Right.
that.
All goes back to the coffee maker, but it's just those little tiny like, I am probably using this because I couldn't figure out how to use certain coffee makers because my brain was fogged as a drinker, and I had prepped my coffee for the night before, and all I have to do is hit a button. It's a tiny, tiny habit that gives me one less thing to think about the next day. So, you can have better health and that leads to better productivity. And I can tell you, as a person who has an autoimmune disease and I'm a breast cancer survivor with side effects that will never go away, that happened after I quit drinking.
Mhm.
I feel better now than I did as a drinker.
That is wild.
I do. It's a true
That
story.
blows my mind.
Yeah, I have far more energy to keep up with my 4-year-old.
Mhm.
I can't, it's just baffling. So,
Yeah.
It really so that being said, alcohol does impact your health. You can gain weight, it can lower your immune function, and slower your recovery. I used to get far more colds that led to bronchitis, that then led to pneumonia, that I blamed on anything and everything but alcohol because I just didn't know.
I know, I didn't know either. Yeah, because when I quit, I was like, "Whoa, I'm not getting sick as often. This is crazy." And then I started researching that, like, can alcohol weaken your immune system? And, oh my gosh, it can. I wouldn't have even heard that as a drinker, though. Would
No.
not have even accepted
Mm-mm.
that.
No way, Jose. So and it also leads to better, like, fitness routines, and it leads to eating healthier, and I'm gonna give you an
Mhm.
example of what I mean by that. When you are drinking, if you're like me, it's 10 PM on a Saturday night, you're at home, and you're craving Taco Bell. Well, you can't drive to go get Taco Bell because you realize you don't want a DWI. Then you DoorDash 2 tons of Taco Bell, and you eat it. That's kinda what I mean by, like, just not doing that or doing that infrequently.
Or the having a hangover and being like, "All I want is, like, 3 McDonald's hash browns and a biscuit
Mhm.
sandwich," and, it's like you don't have those moments anymore, and we're not saying like, "Oh, you're just gonna be the most perfect eater when you quit drinking." No,
No,
but little things like that aren't gonna well, big things like that aren't gonna happen anymore.
right. Those can overall improve your productivity because you don't feel terrible.
Mhm. Yes.
A few more ways to leverage being alcohol free and daily productivity. Create a morning routine. It doesn't have to look like they do on social media. It can look like mine, which is the simplest thing in the world. I just get up, make my bed, hit that button on my coffee maker that I now can find, do my I am sober app, and I do my gratitude. And I do it every single day. I know Sarah has a really, really great morning routine.
Yeah, mine is wake up and then do my gratitudes, do my affirmations, and then I've started writing just a little bit in the morning because I really enjoy doing that and I had lost track of it. And then after I write, it's time to work out. And then after the workout's over, it's time to get my kids up. So it's not like when I actually look at it, it's not very detailed. My workout takes the longest time, but it really is just this waking up before everybody else, having a quiet time. It's me time. It's part of my self care. And it just gives me more energy throughout the day.
I love your morning routine. It's like hashtag goals for me.
The workout in the morning took me a long time to get really consistent on, and it's still when I can feel it slipping away, I make myself do, like, a 10-minute workout. I'm like, "Still just do the workout to keep it in the motion, to keep it in part of the routine," and that's been really helpful for me when I can feel it slipping, just to do a little bit or do what sounds fun that morning, but it was a game changer for me.
I bet. I bet. I say I bet. I can't wait to experience that.
Yeah, it's coming. You also have a little kid too. My kids are old now. They sleep. They don't care what I'm doing in the morning. When I my kids were your age, they were like, "Huh, what are you doing? You doing your workout? I'm gonna come watch you."
No, I become a short order cook, about 6:15.
I know. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Now I'm like getting them up after my workout going, "Come on, come on, come on."
I bet. Speaking of time management, okay, I have really struggled in this department in a b over the past couple months. So I need to hear the words that are getting ready to come out of my mouth,
You're
okay?
saying them for you today.
Right? How's being alcohol-free makes you more efficient. Without the distraction of a hangover, you have more mental space to prioritize
Mhm.
the task, as we have said. So this is just super brief on time management, but really figuring out what techniques, such as the Pomodoro methods here. I know you really like this one.
Mhm.
The 25-minute focused work sessions where you just turn on your timer and you do the thing for 25 minutes. I have to do 15 minutes and I love the reward at the end, whether it's 15 or 25. Give yourself a reward.
Yeah.
Time blocking can be really helpful on your calendar and give yourself buffers between the tasks. This is something right here that I need to work on. I need to buffer about 12 to 15 minutes to stretch. It depends on the task, right? Like if I have a really long session with a client, I need to get up and move for at least 12 minutes, get some water, get some hot tea, feed the cat, whatever, right?
Yeah.
The next one is one of my favorite. I want you to remember the power of saying no. No is a full sentence.
I was just thinking that when you said it.
I learned that in my undergrad for social work, and it was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." I was also like 20, but I do think being alcohol-free makes it easier to say no to distractions or unnecessary commitments because you will be voluntold. Again, learning to set clear and effective boundaries by simply saying no
Yep.
when you're overbooked or when a task isn't aligned with your goals.
Yes.
And this is incredibly important around the holidays. I could not say that more.
Oh my god, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you would have been so proud of me the other day. My mom said, "Oh, Sarah, I wanna give you all of my Christmas inflatables." And I said, "No, I don't want them." And I looked at her and I said, "I'm gonna set a boundary right now that I don't want any of your Christmas decorations."
I am proud of you.
I feel like Heather just came into my body and helped me.
I did.
And I feel
I
like she really heard it. She kinda laughed, but I was also like, no, I don't have space to store that. I don't like clutter, and I decorate by putting up a Christmas tree and some stockings, and I like that, and that's good for me. So, no, thank you. You can decorate your own house."
am so proud of you. I wish we had the clapping noises that can pop up right now,
Maybe I'll find them and put them in the edit. You
right?
never know.
So again, just regular exercise, again, moving your body intentionally, take a walk, walk outside, come back inside, dance.
Mm,
That's the way that I move, is I just have a dance
yes.
party in my whole living area. I don't care. I just get up and move. It really does help with your paired with your favorite playlist.
Yeah. It's a game changer for productivity.
Yes.
That's something that I have to work on more, and I've gotten out my little stair stepper thing. It's just like a teeny little guy that I can move
Mhm.
wherever I want, and I can stand on him, do some stair stepping as I'm doing a task that doesn't take a lot of brain power on my computer. That helps me a lot, and I just got one of those walking pads on a
Oh,
Cyber Monday deal. Yeah, so it should come, like, next week, and my son has a standing desk because that's where it fits in our house, so I told him, I said, "My walking pad's gonna live under your bed, and sometimes during the day, I'm gonna work in your room." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so excited. I've wanted one for so long."
I'm so jealous. I don't think y'all can't see my face, but I opened my mouth really big and I immediately started scanning the area in which I live to where I could fit this.
Yeah, because I think it can go at our kitchen island too. Because I really like to see out our big windows. So I was like, "Okay, this thing's gonna go every." I'm showing my husband on Thanksgiving Day, like, "Look, it's gonna be on special." I couldn't believe that my husband was like, "Okay, let's do it," because 'cause I've been talking about it forever.
I know, and I'm researching after this. So, setting clear goals and tracking progress. I just set a goal. I'm going to look up the treadmill that Sarah just talked about. But when you're alcohol free, you can set clear goals, you can track your progress. You can also learn to break these projects down into smaller, manageable tasks. And you can use productivity tools, Habit app, Trello, your Google Calendar, a paper calendar if you like. We do a habit tracker in the Daymakers community that I'm telling myself I haven't printed it out, and it's December 4th.
I didn't in November, and I felt so off all November, and so on December I was like, "I gotta get it done in
I've got to do
December."
that today because
Yeah.
I felt so out of sorts in November. So
Yeah.
you can use things like that. Come join us. We post it. We take pictures of our progress, or we say, "Help! I need some tools because I'm off the rails." You get the point. And I just want to touch on a few things really, really quick. When you're looking at productivity, it is to be productive, right? That could be more productive social interactions, that could be more productive quality of life. So, when we take out the obstacles of drinking, it enhances. So, dealing with social pressure, social situations where drinking is common can be an obstacle in your productivity, right? Because you're there and you're like, well, I always drink with such and such on Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. I have to drink a margarita. It's Taco Tuesday, right? Because sobriety sometimes leads to feelings of isolation. And I highlighted this in the notes because there's a feeling of isolation sometimes. It is not necessarily true isolation. So, how do we deal with Taco Tuesday? We learn to decline politely the invitation if we can't handle it. And if we feel like, okay, I want to go to Taco Tuesday and I'm going to learn how to say, no, thank you. I'm not going to have a margarita today, but that kombucha or this sparkling water I've really been wanting to try, right? Say no, thank you. And then divert to something immediately that's like on your goal. What's your
Yeah.
goal? To not drink. Be like, no, thank you. I'm not having a margarita today, but God, that looks so good right there. I've been craving a Diet Coke with some lime. Oh, I'm going to get that. Just keep it moving.
So easy.
It is. And you can practice and it becomes as organic as I just said it. And then the person's not going to ask you again because you've kept it moving.
Yeah. And how many times did you go to Taco Tuesday, drink too many margaritas, and you had all these things you needed to get done on Tuesday night, and then you didn't get
Hmm.
them done, and then Wednesday morning was a shit show. It's like, oh man, if you can choose the Diet Coke with lime instead,
Right.
game changer.
Absolutely. And then managing stress. If we are using alcohol to manage stress, well, that's going to decrease our productivity. Y'all get the gist. I do want to touch on something that I have been working on with some of my folks, and it's so simple. It's just called let it go. Stay with me. When people tell me to let something go, it makes me mad. I don't like that. It minimizes my experience. It's going to piss me off. Then I'm never going to let it go. Then I'm going
Mhm.
to hold a grudge over the person who said it for the rest of my life. What do I mean by let it go? During the day, Susie at the water cooler says something offensive. If your name is Susie, I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just an example. And then you're like, well, that was rude. That was tone deaf. She just pushed her belief on me and I don't like it. If it's something that you can let go on the way home, think about it, roll down the window or the proverbial window, right? Just let it go.
Yeah.
Take your arm and just be like, okay, that comment at the water cooler that pissed me off today, I'm gonna let that go, right?
Yeah. Oh my god,
Get
I
the point.
love that. Roll down the window and throw it out.
Just throw it. And then you've got like the thought or the encounter, and then you're doing something with it, and then you're just letting it go. It's like you're
Yes.
gonna think about this in 3 months. No, you have
No.
completely forgot until I just brought it up, right?
That is perfect for the people who say, like, "I take on other people's emotions, and then it leads me to drink." And it's like, "Oh, yeah." I can see that, but man, if you can learn that technique, and like you said, to say let it go can often negate things, but that's powerful. Actually, throw it out the window. Throw out the mental and emotional garbage. Yes.
Right. This leads to, less drinking or no drinking and the productivity that you're looking for. So I want you to think about your low energy days, especially if you're new to being alcohol free. You're going
Mhm.
to be tired. Okay.
Yeah.
And you may be like, this lady has had too much coffee today. So just take in the information and think about a small, easy task to tackle when you're feeling demotivated or fatigued. It could be you like open up your iPhone and make a fun to-do list, something you
Yeah.
wanna watch list, a craft you wanna try. That is building that muscle.
Yes, do those little things. And I have to say too, not every day has to be the highest energy day. And sometimes it's okay to go. Like yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I made some TikToks. I was like, look at me, I'm on a roll. I sat down to start making the outlines for upcoming podcasts. And then my son messages me, I feel really sick. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? So then I had to switch into mom mode. And then he's like, I'm failing algebra. It's like,
Good.
oh, no, and it's because 'cause he's been sick. So I'm like, "Okay, we gotta figure this out." And instead of obviously, my productivity at that moment derailed. All I can do is be in mom mode. "Okay, let's go into the grading app. Let's figure it out. Let's message his teacher and say, 'Let's get these assignments.' Let's message him, make sure he's not dying at school." Like, it just derailed my whole day. But I don't look at it and go, "Oh, I didn't get anything done." I go, "Yeah, you got a lot done right in the morning, and then you had to be a mom." Being a mom's a really important job.
I'm really glad that you said that because I know you and I were messaging, and I was like, I tried to respond to you. I couldn't tell you how many times I saw
Right.
your message, and I was like, gonna type or talk even. Something would happen. And I was being a mama, which is
Mhm.
the most important job that I have.
Yep.
So I'm really glad you said that. So I can't wait to hear what y'all implement. Just one little thing. I want you to tell us about it. Screenshot it, tag this episode in your social media. We're at the No More Wasted Days podcast on Instagram. And as I said earlier, subscribe to the podcast, download, and share this with a friend.
Those things are more helpful than you can even imagine.
All right. So we've got some really cool episodes coming up for y'all. There's an episode that comes out right before Christmas that I think could be really helpful.
Oh, yeah. We've got some really fun ones we're gonna be recording. We have a really fun special guest we get to have on, and Heather's gonna have a Christmas Eve episode. So, I was looking at when it'll come out, and I was like, "Actually, that's really cool because sometimes Christmas Eve can feel really overwhelming." So, man, listen to a sober podcast first thing in the morning, and then I have such a fun one that's gonna come out. I almost think the next one comes out on New Year's Eve. And it's
Ooh.
it's gonna it's gonna be about goal setting,
Yes,
vision
girl.
board, because
I know.
you know who I am, and I'm already doing that with the day makers too.
hmm
I get excited this time of year. I think my favorite time of year is, like, the New Year. It's not Christmas, Christmas Eve, it's going into the New Year and setting those goals and intentions.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited about New Year's, which is very new to me.
I feel like it took a little while for me on my alcohol-free journey, and then I started really reframing it for this, like, "Oh my god, it's time for vision boards and goal setting," and it got really exciting. So, I am super excited for everybody to hear all those episodes. So,
Me too.
subscribe so you don't miss them.
Right. For real, y'all. We'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.